to Chat with Coaches with Pam and David. We have a very special guest today, although we always say all of our guests are very special. I give Pam a hard time about that, but Ricky is actually very special. Ricky is a friend of mine from back in Vancouver when we were both living in Vancouver. We've known each other for around 7 years, 6 years, something like that. I know we were trying one day to figure out when exactly it was that we had met for the first time, but it was like we knew each other when we met because we knew so many other people in common. We knew like dozens or hundreds of people in common. So it was great. I'm glad that we're finally able to get this scheduled to get you on our show today, Ricky. Ricky Shetty is an ordained pastor, business coach, serial entrepreneur, internet marketer, digital nomad, international speaker, and Amazon best-selling author of 10 different books. Not just one, but 10 books. Ricky is originally from Vancouver, Vancouver, Canada, for those of you who don't know where that is. And he is now set up here in the Philippines and based out of Manila. Ricky, with his family of his wife and 3 kids, they have visited 81 countries, or Ricky has anyway, visited 81 countries on 6 continents. And I know he'll talk a little bit more about his travel adventures with his kids. I've like I say, I've known Ricky for a number of years, and Pam had the opportunity to meet Ricky last year. I guess it was just a little over a year ago, March or April of last year, when Ricky was organizing the Freedom Summit, a series of events here in Southeast Asia. And Pam had a chance to meet him there and actually spoke at 3 of the different events for the Freedom Summit. So for our Chat with Coaches today, you know, we don't really have any sort of a script or anything like that. We just kind of chat and see where things go. But we're going to get Ricky to tell us a little bit about his last couple of months. As I'm sure a lot of people around the world have been living under different forms of quarantine and self-isolation. Ricky has kind of a unique story about that, which is kind of why it's taken us so long to coordinate this. But Ricky is coming to us today from beautiful Romblon Island in the Philippines. And welcome, Ricky. Tell us a little bit more. Fill us in on exactly who Ricky Shetty is and where he came from and how he got to be who he is today.
Hi, Ricky.
Yeah. Hello, Pam. Kamusta ka?
Nice to see you again. Yeah. Yay. You're speaking in Tagalog.
Ako si Ricky. So anyway, I know that a lot of the audience is not Tagalog speaking, so I won't butcher them with my terrible Tagalog. So I'm from Vancouver, BC, British Columbia, Canada. And we relocated about 2 years ago here to the beautiful Philippines. And, you know, David raves about the Philippines. I rave about the Philippines. Of course, Pam raves about the Philippines because she's from here. I absolutely love the Philippines. So I'm a big advocate of coming and visiting whenever it's safe to do so post-COVID or during the new normal. I love the Philippines. Super friendly people, delicious food, incredible culture. So much diversity in terms of tourism. So I've been to about 60 of the 81 provinces, and now I'm actually in one of those 60 of the provinces I've been to, and I'm stranded. Yes, I'm stranded. You know those cocktail parties you might have gone to, and they're like, if you were stranded on a deserted island, who would you take with you? You know, what would you take? Like 3 things you could take, right? I never thought that would actually happen to me.
Happen to you.
Right.
Yeah.
So I just want to mention it's not a deserted island, okay? There are actually 41,000 residents, so it's not huge. Like Manila is like 12 million, right? Vancouver is maybe 4 million. So here's like 40,000 people on this island. It's only 42 kilometers in perimeter, so it is quite remote. And it's my first time visiting here. I came here as a tourist. I was doing a solo trip around the Visayas, exploring Boracay, famous tourist resort. Then I'd come to Carabao Island, then Tablas Island, then here. And then around the time I came, literally 2 days after I came, that's when President Duterte announced that he was going to lock down the country. And basically what that means is no public transport between cities, between islands, and between provinces, and no public transport within cities, within islands, and within provinces. So it caused a lot of chaos, obviously. Considering the 120 million people who live in the country. And I happen to be in the midst of all that, right, getting stranded here. So I wasn't able to leave the island for that. Now it's been 2.5 months. And it's been obviously challenging. You can imagine my wife and kids are still in the province where we live in called La Union, which is about 6 hours north of Manila. And I'm about like 8 hours south of Manila, Batangas, a port city, by ferry. So, you know, it's like a 16-hour journey by land or in boat, right? If you want to do it that way. If you fly, maybe it's like an hour, hour and a half or two. So anyway, I'm stranded here, so I'm just making the best of the situation, doing some inner healing work, getting myself out there on Facebook Live, doing these kind of interviews, working my business, reconnecting with lost friends such as you guys. So
Yes.
that in a nutshell, that in a short nutshell is how I ended up here in beautiful Romblon Island.
Yeah, I like your story, Ricky, and the way you turn a bad situation into a positive thing. I mean, you're stranded, it's quarantine, you didn't see your family, you never imagined that you will be away and stranded in an island, but you turned everything into more positive thing, like guesting on our show and reconnecting to people. But what interests me, Ricky, is that you traveled. I personally, I don't want to travel a lot with my kids because of the luggage and all of that. But you've got 3 young kids, and then you traveled how many countries together with them? Maybe not all of that 81 countries, but how was it? And what drove you to do these things?
Yeah, great. Few questions in that question there. So I want to attack that. So firstly, I've been to 81. There's actually a little trivia for you guys here. There's 193 United Nations member states. Okay, that's the official country count in terms of United Nations member states. So out of those 193 countries, I've been to 81 of them. I've been to pretty much every country in the North America, South America, some of the Caribbean islands. Been to a lot of Europe, about 20 countries in Europe. In Asia, I've been to, I think, every single Southeast Asian country with the exception of Papua New Guinea and Bhutan and North Korea. Those are 3 missing still. And then I've been to Australia, New Zealand, and then a few countries in Africa. So I still have a long way to go to cover them all. And that's one of my big life goals, is to visit every country in the world and be the first family to do so. My kids, we made a decision to leave Canada to travel with our kids. We took our kids to 28 countries in just over a year. So my kids, before they hit 5, they've actually been to 28 countries, which sets them up for a life of success. Because for me, like when I was 5, I'd only been to like Canada, US, and because I have Indian ethnicity, Indian heritage, I'd been to India. So Canada, US, and India, like 3 countries, right? By the time I hit 5, even by the time I hit 20, honestly, I'd only been to like 3 countries. So Canada, US, and India. So by the time I was 20, only 3. So why did we leave? That was your other question there. So why did we leave? A few reasons to that. So firstly, it was dissatisfaction. So I was living in the suburbs with my wife. We had the quote unquote, the American dream or the Canadian dream or the Filipino dream. The Filipino dream, or name your country of choice, right? The UK dream, the European dream. It's the same thing. The dream of most people get married is to buy a house, have some kids, maybe have a dog or 2. I know you guys are on that journey itself. You know, you have the dogs already. You're building the house, and you know, marriage is coming. So you know, it's the typical story that people do, right? So we were doing that, and we had this American Canadian dream, quote unquote, right? So, but I was not fulfilled. Like for me, I love the sense of adventure and travel and exploration, and I'd become very much a domesticated dad. You know, staying in the suburbs, taking my kids to school, back and forth, right? It's very much a routine. And I wanted to break that routine. And my wife was going on maternity leave because we were expecting a 3rd child. So I talked to my wife. I'm like, hey, you're going on mat leave. You're still going to get paid. I work online. Would you be open to like traveling? Because we're still going to get money in through your mat leave pay. I'm going to get money in. And we have this time. So my wife, reluctantly, I just want to be honest, reluctantly, reluctantly agreed. But you know, she's amazing. She actually,
wife, yes. Let's
she's
call
great.
it like
She's great.
that.
Just to clarify, Ricky, how old was your youngest, the baby, when you guys grabbed your stuff and left Vancouver?
Yeah, we were crazy enough to travel with the 6-month-old. So we, my wife was nursing, breastfeeding the baby Renzo, and baby Renzo was on the pouch, you know, one of those baby carriers, the baby Bjorns. Yeah. So the Renzo was able to see 4 continents. He's been to like North America, South America, Africa. He did an animal safari. He went to Dubai, the tallest building in the world. So this little Renzo, who's like 6 months, he's seen all this world, and now he only has pictures, obviously, to remember them. No baby unless they're like super genius baby.
Right.
He's gonna remember So, but we have all these pictures. So prove it. Renzo, yes, you have been to Dubai. Renzo, yes, you did go to Animal Safari. Renzo, yes, you did go to Hong Kong Disneyland. Renzo, yes, you did go to like Iguazu Falls, Machu Picchu, and all that. So yeah, so we did this travel, and I just want to flip this situation now. So after this year of travel, then my wife had this desire because my wife's mom got sick. The parents lived in the Philippines. So my wife now asked me, would it be okay if we go to the Philippines to take care of my mom, who's she had stage 4 lung cancer. So at this time, I had to actually be the one, listening to her, and that's really what marriage is about, right? Sometimes my wife had to sacrifice for the sake of my travel dreams. I had to sacrifice for the sake of me helping my wife out so she could take care of her aging mom. So we ended up moving, and that's pretty much the short story of how we came here. We traveled for just over a year, then we ended up moving here, and now we are.
And you fell in love with the Philippines.
Yeah, I fell in love with a Filipino and the Filipinas. The Filipina and the Filipinas.
Yes.
Yes.
That's quite amazing story.
Thank you.
I couldn't imagine, having a baby and traveling. No.
I hated going to the grocery store when my kids were 6 months old.
But I guess, the bottom line here is if you have a dream, you're just going to head on and do whatever it takes to achieve that dream. And I remember last year, it was also your dream to collaborate with a bunch of speakers. And that is exactly where I met you and had the opportunity, which I don't know if I've said thank you enough. And I am grateful for the opportunity that I had last year because I was one of the speakers. And that is like a huge project because you took that conference here in Manila called Freedom Summit to different countries in Asia. I was able to join Chiang Mai and Bali. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to join Singapore, and there's another one.
Malaysia. Kuala Lumpur.
Yes. So I wasn't able to join there, but yeah, it's a big thing. You were taking care of your family, being a good husband, being a good father, taking care of the business, and following your dream, like because you want to travel, and all of those things combined, all happening at once. And I admire you for doing that. I know you also have a podcast. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the last time I remember, you already reached 500 episodes. I'm thinking it's more than that now, right?
Mm-hmm.
How are you able to do all of these things, Ricky? All at the same time?
I don't know. It's tough. I think I must have been a juggler in a previous life or something. I don't know. No, I don't believe in previous lives. But anyway, I don't know. I think we all have these multiple responsibilities, right? Like, you guys, you're in a relationship, you guys have kids, you guys have your business, you got to take care of your health, aging parents. I think that's the human predicament, that we all have these multiple responsibilities, and sometimes the balls get dropped. Maybe the ball of health gets dropped, or the ball of marriage gets dropped, or the ball of finances get dropped, or the ball of being a good mom or a good dad gets dropped, or, like the ball of being a good sibling or a good child. There's all the balls, and unfortunately, some of them all fall down at once. And I'll share that story too, if you don't mind as well. So I did all these things, and it was actually very challenging, right? So I was attempting to still be the best husband, to still be the best dad, and also still, provide for the family. And those 5 conferences, they were quite stressful. You can imagine, I'm sure, like you can imagine doing any kind of event production, it's stressful. And doing like 5 conferences in like a really, short in time frame. So it's quite stressful. So after that, I burned out, honestly. I went through a depression, went through a difficult time. I disappeared off the globe for a year. And then just in the last month or so, I've been recovering from it and overcoming it. And, at first I was ashamed, I don't want to tell people I'm depressed, or I don't want to tell people I lost money, right? But then I just everyone gets depressed. Everyone loses money. Everyone has marriage problems. So I'm like, why am I hiding these things when it's, again, part of this human journey, if you want to call it that, right? So I've become very much an open book. I'm just no need to hide anything. I'm an open book. Ask me anything. Nothing to hide, nothing to prove kind of philosophy, right? So I dropped all the balls, in other words, right? The juggling analogy. I dropped all the balls. And now I'm like, wait a second. Maybe I was actually to carry the analogy further, maybe I was juggling too many balls, and maybe I need to prioritize which balls are the most important. So the ball for myself, you know, if you look at like a glass and then you have like the big rocks and then the pebbles, right? Yeah. The biggest rock at the bottom should be myself and my own health and my own well-being and my own journey. And I was so focused. I'm a people helper. Like my purpose is to help people. So I was so oriented in helping others, and maybe some of your listeners and viewers can relate on that, right? Like you focus so much on others that you neglect yourself. And I was guilty of that. So that's why I took that time off, because I was like, okay, if I focus so much on others and I'm, you know, struggling, I'm not going to be effective in helping, right? So now I'm working on myself, and I've stopped a lot of the stuff, like you mentioned the podcast. 500 and about 60 episodes was good enough for now.
506. Well, we were what, 20?
You were
episode 30.
Yes, there you go. You were right in the beginning.
Yes. So, you know what, you mentioned something there very powerful, Ricky, because whatever happens in your life, bad or good, it's part of who you are. And this is the reason why people connect with you, because you show them your authenticity. We talked a while back about being authentic. And this is why people connect with you. They relate with you because you're not just an influencer. You're not just daddy, what do you call this? I'm sorry. Daddy blogger.
Daddy blogger.
Daddy blogger.
Yes. Daddy blogger, traveler. You travel with your family. You have this great desire to help people. And that's what makes you whole. You know, the good and the bad things side of it. And I adore you for being honest with what happened last year. But, you know, so many people got great opportunities out of that. Yeah. And I can't discount on that. You know, that it was I was part of that. You know, a lot of opportunities were opened. My confidence got boosted because that was my first speaking engagement. And yeah, you helped a lot of people because of that conference.
Absolutely. So we were just talking in a chat with coaches just a few days ago about I kind of brought up Pam's journey as a public speaker, and our guest on the thing was Michael McDonald, who's a speaking coach. And we were just talking about how Pam's first opportunity to speak in front of a group of strangers, like live in front of a group of people, was at the Freedom Summit in Manila. And that I remember watching the video and that, and talking to her in the days leading up to it, and helping her with, you know, going through and proofreading her presentation, and how all this nervous energy that she had, and watching her presentation that first day. And she did an amazing job.
She did.
Watch where she came from that one to Bali to Chiang Mai. And then several months later, we had the opportunity to speak at a 2-day conference in Manila called Working Remote. And bigger, it was like 250 or 300 people in
that
the
happened
audience.
because they saw me at Freedom Summit.
So, they were one of our sponsors.
Yes.
And had the opportunity for that, and to look at the difference from the first Freedom Summit in Manila to, you know, a couple of months later at this one also in Manila, but at the Working Remote conference, and to see the difference in her as a presenter and a speaker was just amazing to see that journey. And, you know, when she said that you gave the opportunity for so many people with the Freedom Summit to be able to speak in front of a group of people for the first time ever in their life or in their career, was such an amazing opportunity for people. And it's, you know, like Pam said, it's part of your journey. The fallout from that, the fact that you were so burnt out from producing a 5-country event that happened in a short period of time, just a few weeks from beginning to end, that I think it's powerful that you can share that message, and that life isn't
a lot of people because of that event.
And, you know, you can take a lot of comfort and a lot of pride in the fact that you helped so many people to move from where they were to where they are today. And just one other thing about the journey is, you know, we all see on social media, we see all the, you know, the air quote influencers out there. live the laptop lifestyle. I'm on this luxury yacht, and when we land on the luxury yacht, I'm going to jump into my Ferrari, and we're going to go and do all this stuff. And yet, while I'm sitting here on the yacht, I'm making thousands of dollars because I'm a mobile entrepreneur. I'm living the laptop lifestyle, which doesn't exist like that. That's not the real world.
Yeah.
Ricky, you are like the epitome of what the actual laptop lifestyle is like. It doesn't have to be, with your family and traveling to remote areas in 81 countries in the planet. It can be the ability to not work in your corporate office, to actually go to a co-working space or to work from home, as a lot of people are being forced to do right now, or to be able to take more vacations. And, so many people get stressed out because, oh my God, I've got a vacation coming up. I'm going to be away for a week and I got to get all this work done before I go away. And when I get back, I'm going to have all this work to do. Why not take 6 week-long vacations throughout the year and work a little bit while you're doing it? Take your laptop and have video conferences and keep up with your business, instead of trying to shut everything off and being stressed about that and not enjoying your vacation. Why not just turn that into a part of your life, that you travel and you have a laptop or an iPad and that's what you do? And you have shown how infinitely possible that is.
It is, yeah.
Your wife and your 3 young children, including a 6-month-old, to take for a year of solid travel and still maintain your business. That more people need to see that. And not taking away from any of the big influencers. I've had a chance to meet some of those people in the last couple of years, and they're not bad people, but they're not showing the realistic side of what most people's reality is. All the big influencers they're all single, they're all young. Like, most of these people are under 30. They're not married. They don't have kids. And it's easy to live a laptop lifestyle when you're young and don't have those things.
Yeah. And speaking of that, babe, I just want to extract more from Ricky. You're here already, so why not, right? You've been doing all these things. You're an influencer. You've got a very big network. You do social media. You do blogging, you do podcasting, you do YouTube, you've got media interviews. Share us a little bit, some advice or hacks or tricks on how you do this. Yeah. How do you network? How were you able to do all of these things?
Yeah, great question. I just want to acknowledge your thoughts there, David. Thank you for sharing those things, because that's actually one of my goals and missions, is like, correcting that incorrect perception of maybe influencers or internet marketers, like living on the beach and drinking the cappuccinos and the mojitos and living this life of amazing freedom, when there's really deeper struggles, right? Like their parents might be sending them money, they might be fighting with their spouse, they might be like on the verge of bankruptcy, they could be like stressed and in poor health, right? So there's all these other variables beyond the social media, and we all live a fake life on social media, and I want to be part of the movement to break that fakeness and just be real, authentic. And I don't care if people judge me, let them, because that's on them, not on me, right? If they judge me, let them. And it used to bug me, honestly. I used to be like, oh, what do they think of me and all that? And I'm just like, now, I like, the right people relate to me and the wrong people won't, right? Like the right people will be like, okay, I actually relate to him more because he's gone through depression, because he's gone through marriage struggles, because he's going through financial hardships. So I think it actually connects people, the right people, and it alienates the right. It filters. It's like a filtering mechanism. Yeah. Vulnerability, authenticity filters the good from the bad, right?
No, absolutely. And your experience and following you, along your travels, long before this big one with the family and everybody, been following your travels and thinking like, wow, like maybe I can do this. Maybe I can not be stuck in my office in Vancouver. Maybe I can go and, like, for me, my first biggest, laptop thing was going to visit my family in the Okanagan. Nice. And it wasn't an exotic beach. It wasn't on a yacht. It wasn't on a jet airplane. I jumped in my car, my 12-year-old car, had my laptop, and I drove up to the Okanagan, and I got on the Wi-Fi and I checked my emails and I made some phone calls on the drive there. And all of a sudden I realized that it didn't have to be this or that. I didn't have to give up the place that I lived. I didn't have to give up everything just in order to be this mobile entrepreneur, this laptop warrior. That I could have a home base and still travel and still be productive and still serve my clients and that's I've switched my home base from Vancouver to here, and we've been kind of grounded here for the last 12 weeks or months or years, what it feels like. But we can't wait to get out, and so we're already starting to plan where we're going to travel to as soon as we are confident enough to maybe get on an airplane with a bunch of strangers and start traveling around. But we know that we can do that, and that we can still continue to serve our clients and take care of the things that we need to take care of. And you were my inspiration to be able to do that. You weren't a 20-something-year-old living the jet set lifestyle. You were, you're a few years younger than I am.
43.
Okay, so 10 years younger than me. But you were out there actually doing it as somebody who's married, who had other responsibilities, and that really just showed to me that it was possible.
Yeah, no, thanks, David. I acknowledge it, and thank you for that. I really want to inspire people, because now we're in the times of COVID and pandemic, and people are like stressed out, they're confused, they've lost income, lost work, can't see their family and friends, can't go to restaurants to dine out. The simple things of life that make life fun, we can't do those things. And of course, now we're going through kind of like this global depression or global confusion or global uncertainty, and that causes personal issues. And again, we don't share that either, right? Like there might be someone who's watching this interview and they're just like, man, I can't stand another day of being locked in. And just reach out, reach out to me, reach out to Pam, reach out to David, and just saying hey, can I chat or something? We'll break down barriers and be like, oh, I also relate, and I also feel this way, right? So we all feel the same way. It just, we choose to keep those personal feelings to ourselves, unfortunately. And I want to be changing that model from just being, let's talk, let's have a chat, and let's break down these barriers of insecurity and self-doubt. And we're all the same in the end of the day, in terms of we might have had different struggles. Someone else might have had another issue. I might have a different issue, but we all have issues, struggles, and insecurities, period. Absolutely. Period, end of sentence. Yeah.
Yep. No, I agree completely.
Yeah. So, going back to my question, Ricky.
Okay.
What can you share, like an example on how to use social media, on how to use, your podcasting, because you're doing all of these things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry, I didn't answer that question yet. So now we will. So
yes.
So I know a lot of your audience, coaches, speakers, they probably have some kind of digital presence. For me, I believe, firstly, you got to build up your brand, right? Your brand, you got Great Work Online. They have a great team of people who can help you with your branding. I teach a 3-step model. It's basically how to make a business, how to market a business, how to monetize a business. Whether it's a speaking business, a coaching business, or a brick and mortar business, first you got to build a brand, making the business. Then you got to market that brand, that company, that corporation, and then finally you got to monetize that company, corporation, or business. So branding, pretty self-explanatory. Figure out your mission, vision, values. Figure out who's your avatar, who's your target market. Figure out what is the pain point, what are they struggling with, and then figure out a way to solve that pain point. So you build up the brand, and then you market the brand. And you mentioned some of the ways you market the brand. Email marketing. A lot of people don't use that tool. You can use MailChimp, Aweber, Constant Contact. You can use Infusionsoft. And if you don't want to do it yourself,
right now,
outsource it to Great Work Online, right? So email marketing is key. Then you got your social media marketing. You got your Facebook, your Twitter, your Instagram, your Pinterest, your TikTok, your Snapchat, and etc. Right? So that's your social media, some of the major platforms. Then you got your video marketing, which includes things like YouTube, Vimeo. And you can do video courses as well, and things like Udemy or Kajabi or Skillshare. Then you got your SEO, search engine optimization. That's another great way to market yourself. You got your written blog, typing it up. Then you got your audio blog, which is a podcast. Then you got your video blog, which is like a YouTube video, right? So you got those streams. Even speaking, like obviously a lot of speakers here who are listening and watching us now. So speaking is a great way to spread the message. And now we can do public gatherings in person. We can speak on webinars and Facebook Lives and StreamYards, and we can speak on webinars and virtual summits, right? So you can still speak. We are speaking. It just you got to change the paradigm of like speaking in front of people in a live physical room to speaking to a little screen like a phone or a laptop or a desktop or a tablet, or maybe you can even speak to your smartwatch, right? So it's just changing the paradigm of speaking. So, and then you got your media, right? So you mentioned that as well. So getting yourself out there in media, you got your traditional media, radio, print, TV. You got your new media, such as things like podcasting is new media, blogging is new media, being interviewed by YouTubers is new media. So get yourself out there. And it's easy as asking them, hey, I see you have a show. Would you like, are you looking for guests? And, you'll be surprised. Most podcasters are looking for guests. Like most I've recorded like 500 episodes, right? So I was always looking for guests, and none of people reached out to me, right? So most podcasters like just go to iTunes or your podcast preference, playing preference, and then just look for podcasts that resonate around your industry, whether it's the business industry, speaking industry, coaching industry, whatever industry. There's a podcast around it most likely. Even outsourcing, the great outsourcing podcasts like yours, right? So just look for someone in your niche or industry and then just reach out on Facebook Messenger. I find that's the easiest. If you email them, it might get lost in this junk mail, might get lost in spam, might get lost in the lack of inbox zero, right? Whereas if you Facebook message them, there's a cool thing in Facebook Messenger. It will show that this person's read it. And then there's this obligation like, oh, they read it, they need to respond, right? So it's kind of a psychological trick to get people to respond, because it's like, wait, they read it at 16:22. Why haven't they responded? They're online. It's so clear. Yeah. There's a green little button telling you they're online. Right? So, media interviews, right? So those are some ways to market. And then finally monetize. You got to create and market. You got to create and sell your own products or services. You guys are doing a lot of service-based stuff. I do a lot of digital product-based stuff, so things like Udemy, Amazon. You can do fulfillment by Amazon, which is like physical objects, selling those on Amazon or eBay or Alibaba or Lazada or Shopee, right? And then you got affiliate marketing is another great way to monetize, right? Like you guys, you can like talk about whoever you're interviewing, and then boom, you get a cut of whatever they promote, right? That's affiliate marketing. And then advertising, that's another great way as well, advertising and sponsorship. So that's in a nutshell, it's kind of my model. What I teach is like how to build a business, how to market a business, how to monetize it.
Awesome. You talk about you teach. You that means you're coaching people on how to do this stuff. Let's dive deeper into that. How is it being a coach, and what do you do to help? Well, aside to teach them how to do all these things, but how is it? Tell us more about that coaching stuff.
Yeah, so I speak and I coach on exactly that 3-step model, right? So basically, people who want to, and I'm looking, I target mostly people who are aspiring business owners or new business owners or struggling business owners who don't have a strong brand, or even though they might have a strong brand, they're not marketing that brand properly, or they're monetizing it. If there's a monetizing problem, it's usually traced back to the marketing or the branding. So I fix the marketing, fix the branding. Once you fix the brand, then the marketing, the brand will draw the market pretty much. So if you look at Apple, they don't need to market, but they still do. And people get drawn to a good brand. And then finally, if the branding is good, the marketing is good, then of course the brand will make money, right? So that's what I teach. And it's about repurposing your content. And you asked me how a speaker or a coach can like kind of grow their audience or grow their network or get more exposure, get more influence.
Yeah.
It's repurposing, right? So the same thing you're speaking about, same thing you're coaching about, you create a Udemy online course on it, you write a book on it, you do a virtual summit on it, you do a live event on it, a meetup, a workshop, a conference, a summit on it. And it's the same thing, right? The same stuff I teach is in all these places, the digital marketing, being a digital nomad, internet marketing. It's the same thing that I'm teaching you now on this podcast or a Facebook Live or a StreamYard. It's the same thing I'll be doing in my summit. It's the same thing I'll be doing Udemy. It's just packaged slightly differently. And different people are going to learn through different ways. Some people love live. They want to be watching live. because they can't stand watching videos because they get bored, they get distracted, right?
Yeah.
Some people want to be at a live physical event because they love the shaking the hands, the high five, the fist bumping, right? They like that in-person thing. And some people want to be coached. They really need that the accountability factor, right? So for the people who need the accountability factor, I like to come alongside and just do these one-on-one Zoom calls and just help them like find out where they're at, how is their brand doing, and if their brand is struggling, then I'll be like, okay, let's do this and this and this to help get you more clients. And then if the income's struggling, let's figure out the price point. Maybe the price point is too low. Let's increase it. Maybe some services aren't working. Let's eliminate those and let's work on services and products that are higher profit margin. So it's like basically business coaching. And I incorporate, because I'm a pastor, you mentioned that as well. I'm a pastor and I have a degree in psychology, so I'm a counselor and I'm a coach. So I very much incorporate this 3-stage model into my coaching.
All those things,
it's like the spiritual, the pastoral, which is like the emotional, relational kind of issues that are barriers in terms of our business success. And then of course I do a lot of the business stuff, like the nuts and bolts of like the technicalities and the tactics and the strategies, right? So I really feel an entrepreneur is a whole person, so we need to deal with the whole person when we're coaching them, not just the business person. Because the business person is first a person, and the person has all these underlying issues. They might have like bullying, they might have money blocks, they might have a belief system from what their parents taught them about scarcity, right? So we need to break through like inner child healing, through like timeline therapy or NLP or cognitive behavioral therapy or listening, right? And the greatest healing modality is forgiveness, right? So like if people are able to forgive, boom, they'll have a breakthrough financially. But if they can't forgive, it will lead to brokenness in the business, right? Brokenness in relationships leads to brokenness in business. So I very much tie those two intricately together in my coaching. That's pretty much what I do with coaching and speaking.
Yeah, this is the reason why it is very important to have a coach or a mentor. If you want to scale and grow your business, having a coach is someone who will guide you, like hand hold you in whatever steps you need to take so that you will grow, because the coach can see things that you can't see. And the coach will guide you to not make the mistakes that the coach did in the past, because the coach already overcame those mistakes. That's why the coach is teaching you that you do this and that. This is why it's very important. And with Ricky, he's done this like a million times already. He discovered the hacks, the tricks, and the shortcuts and all of that. That's why, I really believe in having a coach. If you really want to grow and scale and do the things that you do perfectly, or maybe not perfectly, but the right way to do it is have somebody to guide you. Absolutely. Have a coach to guide you. That's very powerful, Ricky. Now, because of the time, go ahead.
Ricky. Oh, sorry, I just was going to add one quick thing to that. What you were saying, I love what you just said. So if you look at even like the highest leaders of society, presidents, prime ministers like President Obama or President Trump or Prime Minister Trudeau or President Duterte, they have a huge team of advisors, right? And they're coaches, basically. They're guiding them on like, do this, do this, do this, do this. So if they need it, and they're like the most influential people in society, we who are influencers, or we in a small business, we also need coaches, advisors, people guiding and correcting and challenging us. So that's just, I want to add to what you were saying there, Pam.
Yeah, that is very important. Babe, you're going to say something.
No, I agree with that completely, that no matter who you are or where you're at, you need to have an outside advisor, whether you want to call them a coach or a mentor or an advisor, whatever the term you're comfortable with using. Even, and as Ricky said, even the most powerful leaders in the world, business leaders, political leaders, they can't possibly be all-knowing of all things. They need people to advise them on things. And Pam and I have worked with a couple of different mentors and coaches over the last several years, and I've had coaches throughout my business life, the last 35 years. And it's not always somebody that I've gone out and sought, like, oh, I need a coach, I'm going to go and hire somebody. and sometimes it's been a boss that I've, like, you know, somebody in an employment situation that was my boss that became a mentor, that was able to guide me and help point out things that I was missing. And as business people, we get so focused on what we're doing. And that's why I think Pam and I work so well together. We have completely different
background.
You know, Pam is all on the creative and you know, let's figure this out and let's do, you know, all this creative kind of work. And she'll come to me with this, like, oh, I want you to take a look at this. I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, that's good. I trust you. And you know, I take care of the back end stuff. I make sure that, you know, all the bills get paid, that our clients pay us, that we pay all of our, you know, our staff, and do a bunch of the back end business stuff. And I'll talk to Pam about it, and she's just like, I can see her eyes glaze over, and she's like, no, you just take care of that. So it's really a great partnership that we have totally different perspectives on the same business. And, you know, I've got people that mentor me and coach me from a business mindset, and Pam has coaches and mentors that work with her on the creative mindset. And it's, you know, we both have different people helping us with our special parts of what our business is. And so you know, if you're out there, if you're an entrepreneur, or whether you're an employee and you're feeling stuck or just not sure where to go, find a coach or a mentor to help get you unstuck.
Help you.
And it's because a coach can come in and take a look at your business and identify and point out things that you're completely oblivious to because you're so close to it. You get so close you can't see, what's that saying? You can't see the forest for the trees. That you're so intimately involved in your business that you can't see where you've got roadblocks or where you're stuck or where you're making mistakes because you're just in survival mode. And somebody that can come in objectively and take a look at that has experience, that's been where you've been, that's worked with other people that have been with you where you're at, is so important.
And before I forget, Ricky mentioned a bunch of things about repurposing your content. It might sound overwhelming for someone who's starting to create contents, but it's actually not. If you're gonna slow down, let's say you are very good at creating videos and you post it on your social media. That video can be repurposed, transcribe it, and now it can be a blog. Use that topic and create an email talking about that video, or trim those videos, chop it into smaller chunks of videos so that you can have that 60-second that is good for Instagram, and that video can also go to your YouTube account. So you are actually creating one content, but you are repurposing it to different platforms: the email, blog, YouTube, Instagram, all of those things. And also you can use that as create a graphic image out of that topic. You know, that is what Ricky was talking about. That's why it's really important for you to grow and get in order for you to grow, you have to have a coach, because those are the things that a coach can see that can guide you on what you need to do next so that you can scale. That is very powerful, Ricky. You've dropped so many bombs in here in our show, and I hope our listeners who are watching are taking down notes on what they need to do. So where can we find you, Ricky?
You can find me in I was going to make a joke. You can find me in a little island in the central Philippines. So you can find me physically in a little island, but digitally, you can find me everywhere. I'm all over the web, Ricky Shetty, daddyblogger.com. I'm really open to just having a chat, just Facebook message me. That's usually the best place to reach me. I do email too. You can email me, call me, text me. But yeah, Facebook Messenger is good. Ricky Shetty on Facebook, and then add me, and we'll be friends. And then it all starts with a friendship.
Right. We're going to get all of your links, and we're going to post it on the comment section below. And we will talk to you again soon, Ricky. And I hope after everything this is, done, no more quarantine, and you can go back to Manila, maybe we can, have coffee and have a chat again in person.
Yes, I look forward to hanging out. We'll do a double date.
Right.
Sounds good. Yes.
Sounds good. Bye-bye, Ricky.
Okay.
Have a good day.
Ricky.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Ciao. Salamat. Salamat.